TIFU by not disclosing my sex addiction. So I, F24, have been going out with this guy Mike, M27, for about a month. We haven't done anything besides making out and handjobs. This is where the tension lies. I wanted to wait a little bit before I had sex with him. You didn't understand why. I told him I just wanted to wait for a little bit longer. I am ashamed of my addiction. I am seeking therapy for it and I'm working on my trauma. I don't know if I'm ready to go full-blown with him yet. And at this point I don't know if it's healthy for me even to be engaging in any sexual activity. Well, he's somehow found out. He told me that I should have just told him. He said that since I have this addiction I should be fine with sleeping with him. I don't want to fall back into old habits and IDK if I am ready to go full sex with him yet. I am willing to do other stuff with him, just not penetrative sex, but he's still pressing me about the sex matter. I don't think I'm ready now. I don't think I'll be ready for a while. Our relationship is kind of strained right now. I really like him. I just don't know what to do. After a flood of comments, I will be inviting him over and talking to him about all of this. I will keep you guys posted. TLDR. My boyfriend might break up with me because of my sex addiction. He just thinks he hit the jackpot with a woman who has sex addiction. If he's more interested in sex than the relationship itself, you pretty much have your answer right there. Move on. If he's pressuring you for sex, even knowing you have issues with sex, then you need to not be around him. Go out and really like someone else, starting with yourself. You might want to change your TL doctor there and rather say, my BF found out about my sex addiction and wanted to cash in, but I wouldn't give in. Drop his ass and dump him. He doesn't seem supportive. He'd rather want his chance for sex and that's it. Not worth it. Edit. Spell check. He said that since I have this addiction I should be fine with sleeping with him. What a gross thing to say. Dump him. Ew. He said that? Manipulation and just gross on his part. He clearly doesn't understand trauma or addiction. And he's immature. You don't owe anyone your story. Especially at this early stage of the relationship. My wife and I were 28 and 29 when we met. Both previously married. And both had our reasons for waiting about 2.5 months before we were ready. Do not be pressured to have sex. Or anything else. For that matter. If you were my friend telling me this, I'd tell you to move on and wait for a person that respects you. And all that you are. There's nothing wrong with wanting a sexual relationship at 24. If he had said, I'm a grown-ass man looking for a relationship that includes sex, and I'm not okay with endless handjobs, I would have said harsh but fair. But there is something a really douchey and more than a little desperate about using your addiction as a negotiating tool. Everyone is entitled to boundaries. If yours are a deal breaker for him, he's free to leave. Sex shouldn't be like selling used cars. You're probably better off without him. Sounds like he just wants to use you for sex. It's not your addiction that's the problem. It's him. Would you not rather a man who was supportive, understanding and kind? It's your schwaz at the end of the day. And you are the one who has to live with it. Forewarned is forearmed. You know what to expect from him. As a guy, I'd say you dodged a bullet by losing this jerk. If you're struggling with sex addiction, I'd focus on your recovery, not on my rod. He basically objectified you by saying you should just shut up and ride him since apparently you love sex so much. So he is disgusting. As someone who shares that addiction, I have this to say. 1. Break up with him quick. He will use your addiction to pressure you into things. 2. He will not feel guilty about doing it. 3. The unhealthy part isn't the sex. It is using sex to avoid coping for. Until you figure out how to cope, it's hard to know when you're having sex for the right reasons. 5. Him wanting it and you not wanting isn't the right reason. He will definitely use it to manipulate you not only into having sex but types of sex that will damage you. Run, run, run. He doesn't care about you or your well-being, he just wants sex, which you've been clear you're uncomfortable with. If you have to be talked into having sex with somebody, that's coercion and not a consensual act. Do you really want to be with someone that's okay with doing that to you? You should break up with him. He's definitely viewing your addiction as something positive and in his favor. That's a red flag to me. Seems he may be confusing sex addict for high libido or nymphomania. Maybe he needs to be educated in the differences and what you are specifically dealing with. I'm really confused by the somehow found out about your addiction part. You had to have said something that tipped him off. It's important what this was, because you may have insinuated you didn't want to have sex with him. Because it would be some sort of mistake. It's a 1-month relationship. In the grand scheme of things, that's just a drop in the bucket in the long life ahead of you. His inability to sympathize with your addiction is a major red flag and strongly indicates what he's really after in the relationship. Former SAW therapy patient here. You shouldn't be dating and you know this. Yeah, the dude is kind of an ass for saying what he said. But you're also clearly not over your own personal trauma and making sexual decisions in a relationship which shouldn't exist. Y'all both assholes. How about figuring out your addiction issue first within yourself and personal development before maintaining or starting a relationship? Be single for a while. The correct response was, "You should have told me. Now I understand why we haven't gone further. Let me know how I can help you process."
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.